Welcome to the AI Beehive Podcast, Real Estate and Mortgage Pros. This is your buzz for smarter tech, faster deals, and less grind. Let's get started.
Okay, so welcome to another episode of AI Beehive Podcast. My name is Ginger Bell, and I have my co-host with me, George Chevalier. Hey, George.
Hello, everybody.
And I'm excited today. We have a very special guest with us, Mr. Scott Payne, who is the Chief Growth Officer for Shape. So welcome, Scott. We're so happy to have you here.
I cannot be more excited about I've been talking about this for like 2 weeks now. I can't, to talk about AI. It's just something I'm super passionate about. I think my kids are most excited about it because this is like 30 minutes. I'm not going to be talking to them about it. So they're pretty excited about that too.
Well, let's go ahead and lead in with that because I know you had shared that you took PTO to teach eighth graders, I think is what it was, how to craft prompts and really, start implementing it. So what surprised you most about how fast they picked it up?
Well, so I would say, what I've learned over time is that a lot of people in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, what they know ChatGPT AI for is how to cheat on their homework. That's really it's take a picture of my math homework and it gives me the answer. And that's kind of what they do with it. And so, as you mentioned, I'm really involved in my kids' schools, have been for years. I've become really good friends with the teachers. And so I'm on this like preferred list for substitute teaching, whenever they want to call on someone that they know and trust. And so they call me and I'll jump in for them when they need help. And so I'm always trying to find some type of incentive for the kids to behave. And one year when I did it, it was a magic trick where I had this magic coloring book. Well, this year I decided, hey, if you guys all behave, do your work, we're going to go through AI. And let's talk about how to actually use AI instead of just taking a picture of it for your homework. And so what I did was I walked them through how to prompt, really like what is a baseline way to prompt. And what I asked them to do is like, what do you guys want to do this summer? And I knew some of them wanted to start a business, some type of business. And so we walked through an actual example of how to prompt AI to be able to drive an actual business plan for them and to give them the marketing components of it. And what surprised me, I guess, is the number of 8th graders that at the end of the year came up to me excited about what they have done from that point in time to the end of 8th grade with what they had been able to build in AI just by starting to use it.
Wow.
Use it for real life stuff, right? Whether it be the business stuff they were doing, whether it be, one said that they used it for ideas for a book report they were doing. They had some ideas, but they wanted to get some other ideas, used it for brainstorming. And I think that's the key with AI in general. Is how I started getting used to it was I put the app on my phone and I just started to use it every day. Just like we need to get healthy, so we work out or we eat better. We start doing it every single day. Repetition makes it better. And so I think that was the most surprising thing was having 8th graders come up to me. In fact, I've even made job offers to a couple of them to help me with all of these ideas that I have. I just don't have time to do where they can help me this summer and get further along into it. So it's it's come full circle for a lot of kids. I think some of them are still doing it for their math homework. That's fine.
Hey, I bet you're the coolest dad at the school.
Yes. I try to be. I don't know. It's debatable. Depends on who you ask.
Right. But the key is getting started,
It is, yeah.
and that's it. And putting it on your phone. And I love the ChatGPT on my phone. My son and I were traveling across the US last year. And as we were driving through different cities, whoever wasn't driving would bring it up and just ask, okay, we're going through, Montrose, Colorado. Tell me, when was it founded and what were the primary sources for income? And prompting is so important because what we found is certain questions like, nah, that's not really what I was asking. So you'd rephrase it and say, and we got to the point where we knew exactly what to ask in order to get what we wanted. And that's
right.
the key.
That's it. And, I call it the perfect prompt. There's a guy named Jonathan Mast I recommend people check out.
Yep.
He taught me about the perfect prompt. And so that's something that I leverage with the eighth graders is I say, let's walk through the 4 steps of a perfect prompt. And then I have them build the perfect prompt where essentially we say, act like a prompt engineer
Mm-hmm.
who's going to help us build the perfect prompt. And then we'll give them some background. And then we give it a task and we ask if they have any questions. And then we take that and I teach them how to build a custom GPT with that.
Yeah.
Essentially say that, we plug that in, and now they've learned how to prompt it. They've now created a custom GPT that is the perfect prompt creator GPT, where now they can just go simply type a sentence into this custom GPT and they get a perfect prompt every time.
Yeah.
So at least they learned it, and now they can kind of cheat to get the perfect prompt every time,
Yeah.
and they can do anything with it.
Yeah, and creating those custom GPTs, I call them agent GPTs. In fact, after we hop off of this recording, I have a client I'm meeting with, and we're creating his custom GPTs for a couple of books that he's written and putting that into his blog posts and creating that agent GPT. Then you can upload your book and your knowledge and everything in there, and it'll pull from that. So it really streamlines a lot of the things that you're doing.
A million
And that's
percent.
the
Yep.
power of it. So let's talk about streamlining. I want to shift a little bit as far as conversations with eighth graders and things we can learn from eighth graders
Right. Right.
to really talking about your background. Now, I know you have a background in lead gen and lead management and now lead gen growth, obviously, and what you're doing with Shape.
Yep.
So what's one AI powered shift that you think every loan officer or real estate agent should be making right now?
I think a lot of people when they think AI, in my opinion, are honing in on one tool, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot. They're focused on one thing, and that's what they think AI is. To me, AI is multiple tools, and that's really where I think the power comes into AI is when you start to leverage them together. And so what I end up doing a lot is I'll use something like Perplexity. Perplexity.ai allows me to get I'm trying to get rid of the word Google, like Google this, Google that. Like I need a word for perplexity. I perplexity it, I guess, but I go to Perplexity for all my Google searches now because it eliminates so much time from
Right.
having to go into all the different links and what have you. And I'll use that information. It thinks about the questions that follow questions that I might already have, which allows me to tree it open to get even more information. I'll copy all that information, put it into a text file, or just paste it into ChatGPT. And I'll say, I want you to use this information that I just got from Perplexity. And I want you to do this, or summarize this better, or write me a blog post about this, or write an email that summarizes this. In fact, it's how some of our product stuff has been built to Shape, where I've used, like, what does the best loan officer in the world do on the very first phone call with the borrower? That was a question I asked Perplexity, and it gave me step by step. I mean, I could have called George, no doubt. George would have forgiven me at all. But, I think that Perplexity was able to summarize it, and it gave me all the follow-up questions. I was able to ask compliance things, like what things can they not say on the first phone call? What can they, right? And it gave me all of this that I was able to then build into our Shape product that said, when we now listen to a phone call and we're going to score the phone call and we're going to write a summary of it, here are the things that make a really good phone call and how did the loan officer do on that phone call as an example. So long story short, I think when you combine two of these platforms together and use their strengths, to their best ability is important. So as it relates to a loan officer or real estate agent, could that be, tell me everything I need to know about this address and local restaurants that are around it that are kid friendly, right? And you put in an address and it gives you all the restaurants that are kid friendly. And I might take that and go back into ChatGPT, which is going to write like me because I put that in my settings. It knows about my business. It's going to leverage that as well. And now it's going to write a newsletter about this property that I'm trying to help my real estate agent list. That's going to talk about all the kid-friendly restaurants that are nearby or parks that are nearby or what have you. And I can now combine the two. I know ChatGPT has web search and they do some of that now, but I've just found Perplexity is the most up to date. It's pulling from Reddit, it's pulling from different sources that I think are YouTube videos, et cetera, that I think are really powerful. So I think the combination of those two are really powerful.
That's cool. And using and let's talk about Shape because you mentioned that as far as what Shape does. And Shape is a CRM.
Mhm.
And one of the things I know George and I did a demo with Shape. And one of the things that we loved about Shape is the AI that you have implemented into Shape. So let's talk about that, because loan officers, I know a lot of them don't leverage the gold they have in their database. So let's talk about that first,
Yeah.
and then how AI can help them as far as being able to leverage that database that they have.
Yeah, well, I might start off and say that I started my career as a loan officer for a company called Syntex Home Equity back in the day, which became Nation Star, which is now called Mr. Cooper. And I spent 10 years there. And so I wore many hats. I was a loan officer, I was a sales manager, I was in marketing. So I got to see a little bit of everything. And so when it came time to start to implement AI into the system, I was able to help build a product that thought about the different, you know, parties that are going to be involved within. So it wasn't just loan officer friendly, it was loan officer assistant friendly, it was sales manager friendly, it was, all the different parties that might be within Shape and have an active interest in trying to help, move the customer forward. And so, being a former loan officer, I can tell you the things I didn't like, about being a loan officer. And that was, after a phone call or meeting someone in person, I really did not like having to write a follow-up email. And I found myself using templates a lot because that was just easy. And those templates were very generic, and they didn't talk about personal things. They didn't talk about things talked about in the actual conversation. It just left a little bit out and a little bit to be desired for. And so the idea that I had was, what if we could take the phone call? In this case, it's a phone call within Shape. That's part one. There's a second part that can make it a little easier, because I know everyone doesn't make a phone call, right? You might have a face-to-face conversation as well. But let's just start with the phone call. If I have a phone call with a customer, I'm talking about personal things. I'm talking about their goals and what they're looking to do. And all of that's recorded in the phone call itself. That's all a transcript, and that's all text. And that's all I can now, with my prompt that I built, I talked about earlier, take that along with the transcript and say, write me a follow-up email that talks about what their goals were and mentions their kids' names, that hope they do great in soccer today, what have you, right? It will notify a sales manager with, here are things, because it can score the call. It can say the loan officer did really good at these things and could improve upon these things. I built it also because I know, as a loan officer as well, I always wanted to improve. I knew I wasn't always perfect, and I typically could tell when I got off a call if I did good or what I could improve on, but I never got real-time coaching. Shape will offer real-time coaching. You come in after the call is over, it's going to say 3 things you did well, or 3 things you could improve on, give you the actual text you said, and then give you a better way to say it next time. And now you can get real-time coaching. You might have compliance teams involved. You might have someone who just needs to, this is always the biggest one, leaving notes. And there's memes about it all over the internet. Hey, update your CRM with what happened on the call, right? That's always a pain point. Shape does that as well. We take a summary of the call and put that automatically into the note of the system. So that's a phone call. We have the same thing available with your phone. If I'm a real estate agent, or if I'm a loan officer and I have a meeting with a real estate agent, I can come back to my car and I can just press the talk to text, and I can say, I talked to so-and-so about this. We talked all this stuff. And now that's available for me to also use this technology as well, to summarize, to write the email, to all of the stuff all built in as well. So it's taken that in mind. And then fast forward. Let's say the customer closes and it's been a year and you need to do your annual checkup. I can tell you, back in the day, I didn't remember the kids' names, right? And what they were doing. And I could go through the notes and try to figure it out. But what if there was a tool where you could essentially have all that summarized for you, kind of right up front? And that's kind of what we're aiming to do, is provide that information up front to give you the full circle as to what happened on the first call, but also what happened at closing, or what happened through the process, or did you have a big win for the customer that maybe you should highlight, or did you uncover something throughout the process that maybe was a pain point that you need to be reminded of before you get back on the phone with the customer a year later? Those are some of those landmines that might come up along the way that we can notify you when you're calling all of that gold you have in your database. So that's Shape AI Insights. From a user standpoint, I can tell you, user adoption in the system. Someone jumps in and they don't know how to use the system, or how do I do this, can be challenging. We understand that, and so I've spent the last 2 months really building out our new and improved AI support bot, where essentially it knows anything and everything about Shape, and you can ask it questions. And it may not know the answer right away, but it's going to ask you a follow-up question to try to get to the answer. But it has a really extensive knowledge about Shape. And so now users on the fly can say, how do I do this? How do I send this email? How do I add this campaign? And on the fly, get the real-time help they need versus calling support, emailing support, waiting for an answer, all of those things. And so now we're using AI also on our support side to make the user experience much better as well.
And I can truly testify to all that as a Shape user. I believe that all those things set you apart from other CRMs. I mean, just in the last couple of years, you guys have just made serious advancements in the CRM industry. And I'm a huge advocate.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we are constantly innovating. It's even tough for me to get some things that, hey, can we add this to the website? And they're like, do you understand what we're working on right now? Like, we are working on next levels, like, that doesn't fit right now. And I'm like, it's just so, but that's a testament to, how busy we are on new updates and constantly innovating. And we're working on a number of things. Like, candidly, we struggle to, and this is a pain point that we're working on, is to just notify our users of all the updates that we're doing, because there's so many. It's a good problem to have, but we're working on addressing that. That's also in the support bot as well. All of those updates are feeding that as well, so that it's being updated for our customers as well. So the advancements are huge.
So I love, and thank you for that. In regards to, let's talk about CRM and workflows, and being able to utilize what they're doing, and one of the challenges that the industry faces with CRMs is integrations. And so I know Shape is integrations with platforms like HomeBot and FinLocker. So how do these tools, when they're powered with AI and automation, which is what a lot of what Shape brings, how does that help in terms of strengthening the relationship instead of making it feel robotic? Because I think that's, people always have this, like, I still want to be a part of the relationship. I do like the automation part of it. But, what do you see in as far as that, as how it helps to strengthen that relationship?
Yeah, I think, well, if I'm going to a real estate agent and trying to, show them value, it's typically, a streamlined experience. No one wants to, go to a loan officer and have to get back to them, and stuff falls through the cracks. And so I think that's where a lot of our loan officers will find value, is that being that everything's integrated in one spot, they have one place to go. Would also say that, we are built in a way that allows, it's a multi-user built system, if that makes sense. And what I'll explain just a little bit further, where loan officer can be associated with a record, but so can a loan officer assistant, and so can it be a processor, and so can be a real estate agent, for that matter, could be associated with that record, and they could log into their little portal and see all of the leads that they've sent as well. We have multiple users that are assigned to it. Where that's powerful is that me, the loan officer, I may not have all the time to go check on every file, but I need my loan officer assistant to do certain things and to have a workflow and a checklist of things that they do. But other systems are going to make that challenging, because I got to give them my login, and I can't log in the same time as them. With Shape, we give them the ability to actually see their pipeline as a loan officer assistant, who could, by the way, could support multiple loan officers, for that matter, because they're assigned to multiple records. And I think that when you start to power the integrations, as you mentioned, with the HomeBots and the Zillows and all of the stuff that we built into the system, it allows that one big streamline, whether it be the loan officer assistant, anyone can jump in. And then you start to use that when it comes to the automation of emails and text messages and all of the other stuff that we do as well, to start to layer that into a pre-approval letter or what have you, taking a picture of what, the property and all of the stuff that we do as well. So, I think what I've also found over time, I've worked with multiple CRMs as well, is that anytime you do an integration, you're looking at a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, you're going through professional services, doing a number of things. We actually have an AI integration page, You hit connect on some of these integrations, you put in your credentials to the other systems, and you're connected. Some
Wow.
of those are that easy to do, and we've built it that way to make it easy for them. We know that, not everyone has enough time to deal with all of those integrations, and we understood those were big pain points. So we've built it that way as well.
Very cool. George, I'll let you hop in because I know you always have like, okay, well, how about this? And George, he's a mortgage broker. So having that ability to have his LOA in there, I know is big because you're busy. You're out there building your business and, making it rain, George. So having something like that is really big, right?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about the integrations, like for example, for me, I use LendingPad. And I love how, in using the web page, how it seamlessly integrates right into LendingPad. But what I like most about it is the ability to market the campaigns, the ease of it all. I mean, I set up a campaign for a new lead, and it just seamlessly runs throughout the entire system and automatically converts over to application, and then it knows exactly what to send out to the borrower and what the things they should do and the things they should not do. Let's talk about that, Scott. What other types of marketing assistance does Shape provide?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. When it comes to, I think a big, powerful tool that a lot of people, when you're not integrated with your LOS, your system like LendingPad, when you don't have that really tightly connected, you really lose out on the power of trusting that the right thing is going to be sent at the right time, right? The worst thing that can happen, in my opinion, is that me as a borrower, I've gone in, I've taken in my application, I've submitted my information, and all of a sudden I get an email that says, "Hey, I've been trying to reach out to you and would love to connect with you." And I'm like, wait a second, did I put my information in the right way? It creates this right off the bat, this sense of distrust. And right off the bat, the first impression is not very good. And so we have the integration with the LOS. The way that our systems are set up is that we will, continue to drip to them. But as soon as that status changes from the LOS to something else, or the application's taken, it gets knocked out of that queue of the drip marketing that's going out. And that may seem basic, but you'd be surprised on the number of companies who struggle with that part alone, where they just shut off their email integration, in certain cases. And so the power of having the accuracy and the integration with like a landing pad, where it's working every time and it's getting updated, is really powerful. I think what we see a lot of people also start to do is that once that is being sent out and being optimized the right way, they'll start to look at ways to optimize it. So for example, I've worked with a lot of companies in the past to say, okay, well, are we sending the email at the right time of the day? Are we calling them at the right time of the day? What data do we have on the customer that might tell us there'd be a better time of the day to call? For example, they submitted their information at noon. Why are we calling them at 5 p.m. every day? Why are we sending emails at 7 p.m.? Let's try to send it to them around noon, or I would say around 11 or 11:30. Someone doesn't just go online and hit submit. They're doing some research beforehand. And so how do we start to then optimize from there? And Shapes data, our lead funnel reporting, all of that gives us the information to go back and look at that historically to then make strategic decisions on what we do going forward.
Right.
All of the power of that.
And another great thing that it does is it has built-in tasks for the loan officers, so follow-up calls. Sometimes we may get an influx of applications, and it could seem like some could slip between the cracks. However, with Shape, it'll remind you, review that application, make that phone call. I love it.
Yeah, and that's what I think the power of the AI insights comes in, because to your point, you're busy, you're only jumping between phone calls. A task comes up, you got to call them back. Okay, what did we talk about last time? Right there in the note is what we talked about last time. I built it as well, where it has the what is the next follow-up? It actually tells you what should you say next time you talk to them. That's in there as well. So it gives you that opening line, so that if you're in a pinch and you got to go to the next one, at least gives you that next line to say right away, to at least open the conversation.
That's very cool.
Yep.
So we like to keep our podcasts around 20, 25 minutes. So we've covered a lot of information here. And I think for our audience, it's important to know, how can they get in touch with you, with your team? And, one takeaway for them, it's like if you're going to implement one part, and obviously we love talking about with your CRM and marketing, but if you're a loan officer or real estate agent listening to this podcast, what's the one thing that they should do as far as being able to automate part of their process?
So I'll cover that and then I'll go my information. I would say, I found in the past that people are like, I want it to write something for me, but it doesn't sound like me. And so there are multiple ways to do this. I have used Jonathan Mast, his self-scribe tool in the past to write like me, but there's other ways to do that as well. The one little trick that I found to be the most successful is I took blog posts that I've written in the past, emails that I've written, long emails that I've written, anything of content, that I actually wrote myself. And what I did was I uploaded it to ChatGPT. And because it's read like every book in the entire world, what I asked it to do was look at the way that I write and find 3 famous authors that write like me, like have the same type of writing style as me, and give me 3 reasons why you say that. And it gave me 3 people, and one of them was Ernest Hemingway. And it told me because I use, if I remember right, shorter words when, normally you might use longer words. I keep it short and to the point. I take out a lot of illy words. I don't use those. It gave me a bunch of different reasons why. So what I did was I took that and I put that into my ChatGPT settings. And I said, when I ask you to write like me, use Ernest Hemingway's writing style and use these things about his writing style when I ask you to write like me. And the difference when I put that in place, I'd used personality stuff before and it worked a little bit, but when I added this part into it, next level, it looked like what I wrote.
Yeah.
And it took 5 minutes to do this. I mean, once you have your content. So I think if someone is looking for how to make it sound like them a little bit better, that is one little tip and trick, and you can put it in your settings. I know of ChatGPT. I'm sure there's the other tools have it as well, but you just say, when I ask you to write like me, do that. And then I would also say, this is a fun one, once you start using it a little bit more, it keeps the memory.
Mm-hmm.
If you're ever in a, like, man, I really don't feel like doing much today, or if you're ever like, man, I'm really kind of in the dumps today, ask ChatGPT to cheer you up. Ask it to tell you things about yourself that you may not know. Ask it to tell it you're having a bad day and to give you a motivational pep talk about all the things that are good about you. You'll be surprised. It'll pump you up. It'll give you a little pep in your step and get you going for the rest of the day. And then, reach me is Scott at Set Shape, SET, set, like get your business set in shape, setshape.com. And our website is setshape.com. People can go there, request a demo. I'm sure you'll have links as well you'd like to share as well. So, but that's the best way to go. And I do lots of videos on social media, by the way. Scott Payne _shape CRM on Instagram. I do a lot of mixture of, I mentioned the stuff at the school. I run the dad's club for our kids' school. I wear lots of funny wigs and costumes to make them laugh. I do a lot of stuff with my kids on the videos as well, but also tie it into like a CRM lead management perspective as well.
I love that. That is awesome. Well, the next time we have you on, we'll expect a wig then.
Yes.
Oh, he's got one now. Okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are listening to our podcast, you have to hop over to our YouTube channel at AI Beehive in order to see this. So Scott, you can put your wig on. This looks like a fun one. I love that he has one right there.
Yep.
He's got the blonde mullet. Now you just need the
Spice it up
guitar.
a little bit.
Oh my gosh, he's got the bling too.
Yep.
You really are the coolest dad in school.
That's right. I'm hip.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining us. We absolutely loved it. And the information. Hey, if you want to connect with Scott and you want to find out more about Shape, you can head over to AI Beehive. That's aibeehive.com. Has a directory of all kinds of tools that you can use to help you to implement AI into your business. Thanks for tuning in, George. Thanks so much, Scott. Thank you. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the AI Beehive Podcast, where real estate and mortgage pros get the buzz on all things AI. Don't forget to subscribe, share the buzz, and visit www.aibeehive.com to keep building your smarter business. Until next time.